Can Deshaun Watson win a Super Bowl in Philadelphia this year? My name is Philip from PR Moves, and we're going to answer this question today. Can Deshaun Watson win a Super Bowl in Philadelphia this year? Now, you might be thinking, Deshaun Watson is in Houston, so how is he going to win a Super Bowl in Philadelphia? Well, reports came out today from one of the top Eagles reporters that said that if Deshaun Watson is traded before the season, the Eagles are 90% likely to get him. Now, let's just say, in a vacuum, that the Eagles are able to pull off this trade because they trade Jalen Hurts, 2 first-round picks, and a second-round pick to Houston for Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson has the entire current roster of Philly at his disposal. Can he, with new head coach Nick Sirianni, win a Super Bowl in his first season? Alright, to start off, we have to break down Nick Sirianni. A lot of people have doubts about his ability to be a consistent head coach at the NFL level. I don't think he's going to be a terrible coach. I don't think he's going to succeed with Jalen Hurts as his quarterback, though. I think you're going to find after one season, Philly's already going to be looking for another new quarterback. So it seemed very weird that they hired a coach that was related to Carson Wentz's former coach and then traded away Carson Wentz. I felt like that they hired Nick Sirianni for Carson Wentz, and now doesn't really seem like that's going to work out. So we're going to quickly break down the roster around Deshaun Watson and at the end go over whether he can win the Super Bowl with this roster, even win the division with this roster. So let's jump right into it. Let's start with our running backs group, and that's going to start off with running back 1, Miles Sanders. He's going into his third year out of Penn State. And really, Sanders is just an average running back. I'd probably have him in the 15 to 16 range of running backs if I was to rank every running back in the league. He doesn't have great receiving skills, but he does have that just breakaway speed that you really like to see out of a running back. He really gets it done through on the ground, and with how good this offensive line is, I'm not even going to touch the offensive line, especially if Landon Dickerson from Alabama, who they drafted this year, comes in and plays immediately and plays well. That offensive line is going to be one of the best in football if healthy. We'll talk about health at the end of the video, but Sanders is that running back 1, and then behind him they have rookie Kenneth Gainwell, who's kind of going to be replacing Boston Scott, who I think is still going to make the roster. But Gainwell is that prototypical receiving back. He could line up at receiver for this Eagles team that's kind of thin at wide receiver. And then behind Boston Scott, they have 2 power backs. They have Kerryon Johnson and Jordan Howard. I think only one of them even has a chance at making the roster, and I would say it's Kerryon. And I guess that they would be that full steam ahead power back type for Deshaun Watson, I don't think he's ever really had a power back before in his backfield. He's had like Carlos Hyde and company, not really anything power back-ish. So at running back, they have a diverse running back room. I don't think that's going to be what's holding him back, especially in the NFL where running backs are pretty disposable, especially with an offensive line that's this good in Philadelphia. So wide receiver. Would wide receiver be holding this Philadelphia team back? Well, potentially. Again, I said Gainwell can catch very well, but they drafted Devontae Smith. They traded up to get Devontae Smith. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar, especially if Deshaun Watson's here. In my top wide receivers to not draft in fantasy football, I put Jalen Reagor on there because I believe if Jalen Hurts is starting, he is going to throw to Devontae Smith so often that he's going to be one of the best wide receivers in the league off the bat. But if Deshaun Watson's here, Jalen Reagor could potentially move into like a top 40 receiver. I think Jalen Reagor has all the potential in the world. It's just you drafted him over Justin Jefferson, so it makes you look stupid. But after Smith and Reagor, you got Greg Ward, who is not even a top 100 receiver. You have Quez Watkins, who is a kind of a screen run after catch kind of guy, pretty similar to Reagor and Devontae Smith. And then you got Travis Fulgham, who is kind of that big-bodied guy. He's kind of going to be getting the snaps that Alshon Jeffrey had in this Eagles team over the past few years. So overall, wide receiver is not that great. I think with Deshaun Watson, it'll look a lot better than what it will with Jalen Hurts. But that's just, you're going to have to see what that looks like. But then you move on to tight end really quick. It looks good at tight end. I actually think if you factor tight end into an overall receiving grade, they'd boost them up a lot. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Richard Rodgers, all could be starters on many teams. Maybe not Richard Rodgers as much. He'd probably be a good tight end too. But Goddard and Ertz would start on almost every single team that's not the 49ers, Chiefs, Packers, or like those top tight end teams, Ravens, etc. So they are really good tight ends, and that is, again, something that Deshaun Watson's never had. I think like Jordan Atkins is his best tight end he's had in Houston. So 2 tight ends, 2 solid receivers, 2 solid receiving backs. Sanders isn't terrible receiving, so I don't think the offense, especially with this offensive line, I think the offense would be absolutely phenomenal. And it gets to move us on to the defense here. And this defense, if well coached, could be one of the better units in the league. I think it's already one of the more underrated units in the league. I just think in a division where the Giants are so well balanced, Washington has a top 3 defense and Dallas has a top 3 offense. Eagles, who have holes on defense, but if well coached, those holes will be patched. You'll see right here. At defensive tackle, you're going to have rookie Milton Williams doing that special pass rush duty, Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. That's a very strong pass rush up the middle, and that's a very strong run defense. And then coming off the edge, you have former Washington football team member Ryan Kerrigan, youngster Derek Barnett, who's a pass rush specialist, and then Pro Bowler Brandon Graham, also coming off the edge. So that, in particular, is a pretty good run defense. Not the most spectacular pass rush, but the run defense there could easily be top 10. That is a phenomenal run defense, if only the linebackers were good. Now, the linebackers are terrible. I'm just not going to sugarcoat it. Alex Singleton, TJ Edwards, Jacoby Stevens, Davion Taylor. There's nothing to gloat about there. Stevens could be a fast coverage type guy, but that's what TJ Edwards is. Alex Singleton is just a guy. None of these guys would be starters on any other team. But the defensive backs aren't terrible. Started looking at the safeties and moving down. Anthony Harris is spectacular. Kevon Wallace was good in flashes when he was healthy last year. Rodney McLeod, same as Wallace. I think McLeod would also play a lot of slot corner in this defense. And then you got Darius Slay, who is a top 15 corner, probably. And then Avonte Maddox, and then rookie Zach McPherson seems to be getting the rest of their slot snaps. So while this Eagles defense is very defensive line heavy, every other level has at least pieces that, if coached well, could be a top unit in the league. And maybe top unit is top 12. But could this team, with the offense and defensive pieces listed out, actually go on and make a run to the Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson? This is very similar to the unit that they had in 2017. This isn't too far removed from it. I'm going to go with no. I think they would be fringe playoff contenders with Deshaun Watson. I think they would probably split their division. They'd probably beat the Giants, beat the Cowboys once. I don't know if they'd beat Washington. And then the rest of their schedule, they do have a 4th place schedule. Yeah, they were going to have the 6th overall pick. So they would have the 4th place schedule. So with Deshaun Watson, I'd say that'd probably be a 9-8 or 10-7 record for this team. Which Nick Sirianni's first year would actually be incredible. And again, that's assuming he's a good coach. So could Deshaun Watson win the Super Bowl with this team? Yes, he would have to play MVP ball, though, because this team has a lot of holes. The offensive line's good. Running backs are very diverse. Tight ends are incredible. Wide receiver is very thin outside of the number 1 and 2 options. There's not a lot of diversity. And the defense is very dependent on the pass rush and the run defense in their secondary. It has pieces, but is thin. So that's pretty much the answer. I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to go on any spectacular run if he's traded to the Eagles. I think he would have a much better chance winning the Super Bowl in Denver. If I was him, I'd want to go to Denver immediately. They have a Super Bowl ready roster. But if the Eagles are intent on trading for him, Deshaun Watson would take what is right now a 5 or 6 win team with Jalen Hurts and potentially take them to a 9 or 10 win team in a playoff berth. So that's just my input. Thank you guys all for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you guys all later. See ya.